G'day friends, it's Kim here from Kim's Homestead in Victoria, Australia. Well, I'm back in the kitchen today, so I thought I would bring you along. Today I'm canning up that chicken and vegetable soup I made the other day, and I also have the specials of potatoes and turnips, which I'll also be canning today, maybe tomorrow, but you'll get this video all in one. But what I thought I'd bring you in for is I'm going to be canning in an assortment of different jars, different lids. Most of the canning videos that you see all include the ball jars with the ball lids. Well, here in Australia you can't get those, and we haven't been able to get them for about 3 years now, and they're still impossible to get. So what we've had to resort to is just canning in normal everyday jars. Now these ones here are the, I think they're the L'Apéritif jars. Now with these ones here, they have the little bits of, like, it looks like fruit on the side that's indented in the glass, and these are good jars, great for canning. They're nice thick solid glass. But the only thing is with these is you can't get lids. Some of the old ball lids, like the 2-piece ring set, they will fit. So what you have to do is just attach it to the jar, make sure it will screw down, because otherwise it will just go round and round and round the merry-go-round, and it won't seal. So make sure that you check to see if you've got a tight fitting lid before you put your food contents in there. Then I've still got a ball jar. That one's one of their cheaper varieties that doesn't have the name on them. This one here is a commercial spaghetti jar, you know, that your spaghetti sauce comes in. That's that one there. And this one here was a jar that I got some fruit salad fruit in, and that's what I'll be canning in today. I do have some other jars for the potatoes and turnips, and I'll show you those when I get to them. But here I have the lids. Now they're in boiling water with just a little splash of vinegar, and I have my clean paper towel, my magnet, my lid rings, and the soup. Now the soup is cold. I've just recently taken it out of the fridge. I'll just get a funnel and a scoop. There we go. We'll start with the ball one. This has a very thin layer of fat on the top. It's really not enough to concern yourself with as far as fat goes. It's actually a good fat. Has a lot of flavour in it, so it's being left. If it was a big thick layer, that would be different. Right, so we'll just start filling. Looks like I might only need 3 jars. Now you still need to leave your 1-inch head space, which usually is the bottom of the jar rim. Around there is your 1-inch head space. That one's down a little bit, so I'm actually going to top that up with just a little water. Won't affect the flavour at all. There we go. Now, always run around the top. Make sure there's no food particles on the tops of your jars. I won't have to worry about debubbling this because it's basically liquid. Right, with these commercial lids, you can screw them down as tight as they will go. Just like that. It's still pretty much finger tight, but that's all it needs to be. With the ball lids, finger tight, that's all they need to be. Just like that. Now these will go into a cold canner, and then I will secure the lid and bring it up to pressure. And once it is steaming through the vent hole, I will let it steam for 10 minutes, and then I will put the weighted gauge on, and when that starts to do a little hula dance, then it's up to pressure, and for my elevation it is between 10 and 11 pounds of pressure. And then I will pressure cook these for 75 minutes. They're being cooked for 75 minutes because these are a meat-based product, so therefore they need to be cooked for 75 minutes for a pint. Okay, I will put these in the canner and be back in a minute. Right, well, here are my potatoes. The 2 bags of potatoes that I got on special. They've been peeled, they've been sliced, and they're on their second soak. And here are the turnips. They've been peeled, they've been sliced, and they're on their first soak. And on the stove I have a huge big pot of water coming to boil, and they will be blanched very shortly, and then they also will go into jars and into the pressure canner. The obviously 3 jars in a 23 quart canner not really economical, so I thought I would also can up some carrots that I had in the fridge. Now these carrots were big bag of juicing carrots that I bought. These are what was left. And my carrots out in the garden are now ready to be sorted through and used as baby carrots. So I'll be able to use them for my salads instead of these. So I may as well jar these up. And I also had some peas that I picked out of the garden which were frozen, and some more carrots which I had frozen, and turnips, last year's turnips. And I think there's a little bit of parsnip in there as well, which will also help to make it nice and sweet. So I thought I would jar them up at the same time. So I've got a nice half pot full here. Now these jars here are the ghee jars which I found at Coles supermarket. So you should be able to hopefully find some jars there. They have similar lids to the ball canning jars, which is a 2-piece lid. The only thing with these I found, the last time I canned with these, one jar broke. The whole bum out of it came out. Not happy. New jar. So yeah, we'll see how these go. A ghee is supposed to be fairly good, so we will wait and see. Now I'm actually going to put a 1/4 teaspoon of salt in with these, so I'll just get my salt, and I'm just going to put the salt in before I do fill them up. This probably won't be enough jars, so we'll see what we can fit in. This is just normal sea salt. It's a little stronger than other salt, so you do have to be careful what you put in. So I'll fix this jar too, and this one will be a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. We don't want it too salty, we just want to enhance the flavours. So, let's see. Don't worry, my hands are clean. This is just the best way for me to get them out and fill the jars. I'll pack in. What we also have, these mason jar cups. I picked up about 50 jars for about 10 bucks. And honestly, I don't care if they got a handle, so long as I can can in them. Here's some filtered water. You don't have to use filtered water, I just prefer it. 1 inch from the top. Because this is not a liquid, you do need to debubble. So always, always, always debubble, debubble, debubble. Air is your enemy. Make sure you got all those air bubbles out. Now I'm just making sure that those vegetables are under the water. Down around the sides. And in the meantime, it pushes the larger pieces in underneath. If not, just give them a push. And if they won't go underneath, take them out. Top up with a few peas there. A few peas there. And a few peas there. Just make sure they're under the water. Now this is what you call cold pack. That's a bit full. Always, always, always wipe down with a clean paper towel. Make sure you get those threads. Right, that's freed up some freezer space and gotten rid of a few vegetables that would have probably otherwise gone a bit manky. We don't want that. Now, we can put the lids on. These lids are clean, but I'm putting them in the water because it's got the vinegar in the water. Okay, so once again, well, we can go on there properly. Finger tight. As Jenny from Jenny's Kitchen says, everybody's in the hot tub. I've got it double stacked here and over here. Next to it is the parsnips that are being blanched. They're on their 2-minute timer. Now I started out with cold water and that's why it's spitting and hissing at you. Well, there we go. That's the timer for these. What I'll do with these now is drain them out and put them in cold water and stop the cooking process. Potatoes are already done, and I will do these tomorrow because it's going to be late when I finish these tonight. So what I will do is put the top on this canner. Now it's all been checked, it's all good. There we go. Now when this comes up to heat, I will let it vent for 10 minutes. Do not skip this step. It is very, very important. Otherwise your canner will not come up to pressure. When it comes up to heat and it's vented for 10 minutes, I will then put the little weighted gauge on top, which for here is just a little 10-pound weight, just like that. That goes on there. And then when it starts to do the little hula dance, I will turn the heat down so it stays at a medium-high heat and stays at that particular temperature for 75 minutes. And then the jars, I will let it, once the time is up, I will turn the heat off. Then I will let it come down and the canner will be cool to the touch. Then I will take the lid off. Always, always open the lid away from you because it will still be hot. Then I will leave it for 5 minutes and then take the jars out and place them on a tea towel beside the stove. And that way they can cool down, ready for tomorrow, ready for washing the jars, labelling and putting away in the pantry. So I will bring you back tomorrow when I'm jarring up these turnips and the rest of the potatoes. Just waiting for the button to pop up. Lots of steam happening. And there's the button up. Well, the canner has now vented for 10 minutes and all that steam is escaping. I don't know whether you can see that or not, but it's going really well. All the little atoms and that are having a little venting party over there. And it's now time to put on the weighted gauge. And once that starts doing its little dance and the hula girls have come in, and it'll be time to turn it down to a medium heat and then put my timer on for 75 minutes. There is our little hula hula going. Woohoo! Now we will turn it down so it continues that vigorous jiggle, and we'll put the timer on for 75 minutes. Well, the first one's out of the canner, and as you can see, it's still bubbling away, so it's still quite hot. Now those will stay there and they'll be labelled and the jars washed and put in the pantry tomorrow. And the hot tub's already refilled. I've got about 11 jars in there, and I didn't quite fill the top because the jars that I've got left are too big. So now I will show you some Fowlers and some Weck jars. Okay, so we've nearly got the canning almost complete. My second canner is on the go, and I've only got 6 jars left to can up. Now the last 6 is an assortment of your spaghetti jars, and the last 3 is what you call Fowlers jars. Now Fowlers is probably the equivalent of ball in America for Australia. This is what Australians can get hold of to do our canning. A lot of these jars you will find in tip shops, what we call tip shops, second-hand stores, online on Facebook, eBay, and there's a couple of other social media sites as well. You can also buy directly from the Fowlers company. They are still going quite strong actually. Now these are, it comes in probably 4 parts, but I'll say 5. You've got your basic jar. This one here is a size 20. You can either get fairly small ones right up to your great big ones. This is the most common size for me because I can't get hold of the smaller ones. That's why I use the spaghetti jars, and they're a bit too dear. So unless I'm going to like an estate sale, a second-hand shop, anything like that, where I find a small jar, I grab it really quickly. The rings come in different sizes because of the different size jars. The size 3 ring and the size 4 ring are for the most common. It will do pretty much most jars. It's only probably the real big ones and the really small ones that you have to buy separate ones for. So that's for the rings. Now these are supposed to be a one-time use thing because otherwise the rubber in the ring may tend to stretch, but I found it really depends on how long it's been in the jar and what sort of condition it's in when you take it out. There's 2 lots of lids. One, the cheaper variety, is more or less a coated tin lid. They're alright for a 1 to 2 time use. If they're in, once again, it depending on what you put in the jar, how long it's in there for, and is the lid in any good condition when you take it out. This one here is a stainless steel lid, and it can be used over and 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 over again. So these are really good because yes, they're more expensive, but honestly they don't rust, they don't wear out. The only time that you may damage them is trying to get the rotten things off the jars. The jars create quite a good vacuum, and yeah, they are sons of mother dogs to get off. Now the ring, you put it around the top like that, and you've got to make sure that it's all one way. I usually face it so that it's facing downwards, but if it's twisted or screwed up, you will not get a proper seal. You may get a false seal, which is what you don't want, but you won't get a proper seal. Now that's like that. And yes, I've already sterilised this. Now I just make sure that it's sitting correctly or evenly over the top. And then what I do, these are the bands that actually hold it down. So this is the third part. And the bands, now this is a size 3 preserving clip. Comes in a box like this, very easily and readily available, lasts for a very long time. Now, this is a relatively new clip, so you just hook it over and press it down all the way. Make sure it's in the centre and all the way down. This is a new clip, never been used, and see it's a brassy colour. Not sure if you can pick that up all right, but yeah, I wish they'd stay like that, but they don't. But anyway, this has been used once and it's turned to your silver colour of the stainless steel. But this is not stainless steel. What I do, and this is number 5, I actually double clip. You don't have to. A single clip should do it, but I like to make sure, because I've taken a lot of time and effort into getting the goods into the jars, and I want to make sure I've got a good seal. So yes, I double clip. And that is your Fowler's jar. This is one with some old clips, and see how they've gone a little bit rusty. What I will do after the food is processed, and I take the clips off to make sure that I've got a seal, is I will wash these up with hot soapy water, and then when they're dry, I will very lightly grease them with some oil, and that keeps them in fairly good shape. That's the Fowler's. Now we have the Weck. Now I'm not going to be processing in the Weck today, because I want to keep the jars for when I'm doing pickles. But I did want to explain to you the difference in the Weck jars compared to the other jars, so that if you get some jars yourself, you'll know what to do. So the glass Weck jars are just a normal glass jar. They're very good, nice and thick, and they really do come in lots of different shapes, sizes and configurations. Now these also come with a glass lid, which I find really good. You can either use them as a pickle puck or a weighted thing for if you're making sauerkraut or anything like that. They're good. To use these ones, and the reason why I'm keeping them for pickles is because with the acidity of the brine in the pickles, it tends to rust out most lids. It'll even have a go at the stainless steel. So it doesn't quite get there, but it will discolour it something shocking if it's left in there for a while. But glass, it won't go through glass, trust me. So what you do is this little ring here, similar to what's in here, you put the ring around the outside of the lid, not the inside of the jar. I've tried that and it doesn't work. Then you put this on top of the jar, making sure that you've got good contact between the glass and the rubber, both top and bottom, all the way round. Now this jar actually comes with two little clips, very similar to this, but they only sit over the edge of the jar here. Unfortunately, I couldn't find mine at the moment for this demonstration. But once again, I double clip because it usually only comes with two clips. So you've got one there, and I double clip, so I put one there and one there also. And then when it's done, you take the clips off and you lift it up like that, and it will have a good vacuum seal, and it can stay there for a very, very long time in your pantry. And then when you want to open the jar, it's probably one of the easiest jars there is to open. All you do, that little rubber tab there, you just pull that out and your jar's open. You can't put this back on, well, I suppose you could if you really wanted to, but if you're a bit wobbly like me, it'll go flying and you'll break your lid. But there is plastic clips or plastic lids you can get for these jars. Unfortunately, once again, they are like hen's teeth, so you're probably better off having a look on eBay. Alright, well, I will continue on with this little bit of canning that I've got left to do, but I hope you've enjoyed my demonstration on using the different types of jars that we have available here in Australia to us. And if you're like me and you're after jars, just ask your friends and family if they wouldn't mind saving their jars for you. I'm sure they would do that quite happily, especially if you promise a jar or two of goodies occasionally. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please consider giving me a thumbs up or a thumbs down, doesn't matter. And if you like the contents, think about subscribing. It doesn't cost anything, but it helps my channel out tremendously. Alright, well, I'll see you again with another video. Bye for now.